Megan Orecchio. I am Paul Dillon's youngest child. We actually share the same birthday. My fondest memory of Let's Cook is kind of interesting because I was in middle school and high school when he started doing the show, recording the show, and then it really started gaining traction. So I actually used to work on the show. Wake up at, I don't know, 6 in the morning because it was on weekends that he filmed, and go and do dishes. And as I was a little bit more responsive and trustworthy, maybe prep trays of ingredients that he needed for each show and so on. So working on the show was probably my fondest memory because I really don't have many memories of watching it much.
Paul was my father. I worked on the show. I was actually at the very first taping before he even got to the, Comcast network. It was just kind of a local piece. And I think another chef from the school was supposed to do it, but he couldn't at the last minute. So my dad stepped in, and Bob's your uncle, Sally's your aunt.
Hi, I'm Paul Dillon's daughter. My name's Kiva. I'm the oldest of three kids. And my dad was the head of Let's Cook. The show itself, actually, the biggest memories I have are going through the supermarket with my dad. And he didn't plan a show until we got to the market. And he would see what was fresh. And then he would start planning his dishes. And he was so excited for the show. And that's my biggest memory. It was very exciting. I loved to go to the supermarket with him because it was like always a new opportunity. And you could see that. He made me excited about food too.
Hi, welcome to Let's Cook. This show is brought to you by the Culinary Arts Institute of Hudson County Community College, where I teach. Paul Dillon. That's me. Oh, today on Let's Cook, let's see what we're doing. We're doing a Bavarian relish. Yes, we're making a sweet Bavarian relish with sauerkraut. We'll make a nice kibasi with that. And we're doing a grilled chicken, and we're going to make a little bit of chutney. But it's a fresh chutney, and I think that we're going to get started on the chutney right away. So let's see here. With our chutney today, we're going to use a little bit of brown sugar. You can use regular sugar or sugar in the raw if you like. Some cilantro, a little bit of ginger. I have some dried apples here that I'm putting into it, some raisins, some blueberries, pecans, and lemon juice. So let's get started. First thing that we're doing today is we're working with ginger root. The great thing about ginger root is it's very healthy for you. It's very, the same thing can be said about ginger, that it's similar to garlic. So it's good for you. So we're going to use a little bit of ginger root. Now, since ginger root is a root, we have to peel it, and we really want to make sure that we remove the skin. And it's really grainy. So when you peel it down and you work with ginger, you can buy ginger, and I suggest you use fresh ginger. You can use dried ginger if you like, but use fresh ginger, and you can marinate this or caramelize this. You can freeze this. It works very well, and it's very spicy and hot. It has a real bite to it when it's raw like this. It's delicious. There we go. So we'll just peel this down. So we're going to clean up our ginger here. Now, just like garlic, this is real. We want to cut this very small. And it's woody. You can actually see as I cut this down with my knife, and I cut it nice and thin like this. It's really woody, and I want to make sure that I cut it real thin like this. But I can't go that slow, so I'm just going to cut it real thin like this. Then I'm going to take my knife and chop this up, but I don't want to chop it too fine. So I just want to chop this a little bit. Get this started here. We'll chop her up. We don't want to leave it too coarse. I could mash this too, but that removes a lot of the oil. I don't want to remove a lot of the oil, so I'll just chop this up here with my ginger. Oh, the aroma of the ginger is excellent. My wife hates ginger. I cook with it all the time. Okay. But only when she's not at home. All right. So we have my ginger in there. I'm going to take and I'm going to put a little bit of brown sugar in this right now. And along with the brown sugar, I'm going to put in a little bit of lemon juice. And let that ginger pick up the flavor of the lemon and also dissolve the sugar a little bit. Always roll the lemon, break the membrane on the inside. Hold your hand over it. Make sure you get the juice in there, but you don't want any of the seeds to go in there. There we are. Get that out. This is a great salsa. You could actually even call this a salsa or chutney, but this is excellent with any grilled item. Take that, put that right in there. We'll mix this up just a little bit right now and let that brown sugar dissolve a little bit. There we are. Also, this chutney should actually be refrigerated overnight so the flavors really develop. And the blueberries bleed out some color. To this, I'm going to julienne some dried apples. You could use apricots, apples, peaches, raisins, prunes, anything at all, because this is just a condiment to actually add spice to the dish we're going to be grilling today. I'll just chop this up, medium dice this. Chop up our apple there. Have our apple done. And again, a lot of times I'll leave all of these things on my cutting board till I'm about to put them into the bowl because I want to make sure I use equal quantities. I've just looked over here. I saw this wonderful red pepper. I'm going to put in a little bit of brunoise of red pepper into this as well. This I'll cut very small because I don't want it to be overpowering. When somebody eats a chutney, I don't want them to just pick up the flavor of the red pepper. So I'm going to cut this into very thin julienne strips. And then the strips I'll take and I'll dice them down. And this is what we call a brunoise cut. Just a very small dice. So we have our brunoise there. On that, we have some raisins. The raisins I'll just take through the knife one time. I don't want to cut them real fine. Add my raisins to this. And this is a great time of year for berries. And you can do this with almost any fruit where you can make a chutney out of this. You want to make sure you have the seasonings in there. A few pecans here. Pecans are going to give it a real crunch, a real bite. Add a nutty flavor to it. Also make it very healthy. You don't want too many pecans in there, though. You don't want them to dominate it. Also make sure when you buy the pecans that if you don't shell them yourselves, that you buy ones that are not roasted or not salted because they'll end up affecting the flavor as well. And last but not least here, we have a little bit of cilantro. Cilantro is also known as Japanese parsley. When you're working with the cilantro, as in any herb, it's grown in a sandy soil. Make sure you wash it thoroughly, remove it from the water, get rid of all that sand and dirt. And again, this I just make into a very tight bundle and just take my knife across this. You want to have very small pieces. You don't want to overcut this in. You could actually do this in a Cuisinart machine or in a Robot Crew or any of those machines that macerate things. But what you end up doing is you end up drawing out too much of the volatile oils of the herb, and you end up losing or masking the flavor of the herb. Okay, there we are. Put together here now. Last but not least, my blueberries. I don't have to put the blueberries because I'm leaving my blueberries whole. So I'll use, maybe roughly about 3/4 of a cup of blueberries to a cup. And roughly about a half a cup of everything else. Goes right into the dish here. There we go. Take this. A little bit of salt, not too much. Bit of pepper. Now, if I wanted to make this spicy, I could add some chili powder or some chilies to this as well. Then we'll just take this and mix this very nicely together. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let this marinate for a little while. Let the flavors macerate, the flavors develop a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to prepare the chicken, grill that, get the kibasi ready, and then we're going to make a Bavarian relish. So please stay with me. Time to make the chicken. We have our relish that we just made before in the show. That's marinating together. Now we're going to take our chicken. Now with the chicken, what I like to do when I'm grilling chicken, especially if I'm grilling indoors, which I'll be doing today, I like to take the chicken and slice it down and season it up before I grill it. So this is, actually I went to the supermarket this morning, bought a couple of breasts of chicken here. I'm going to show you how I like to clean them up. First thing that I want to do, if it's a split breast like this where And this is still even a little bit frozen, which I'm glad, because sometimes you can work with it a little firm like this. We're going to take this. We're going to split the two breasts right down the middle here and remove this little bit that's attached to the cartilage of the chicken. We want to get rid of that. In addition to that, we want to scrape down and remove any excess fat or sinew that's on the chicken breast. Just want to clean this up a little bit here. Get it nice and clean. Always clean up the chicken breast. This is very unhealthy for you, especially what they feed chickens nowadays. You want to make sure you get rid of that fat. So we'll get rid of that. Clean that up. Now with these breasts, we're going to take the breast, lay it out, and with my knife, I'm going to take and I'm going to slide and cut the chicken kind of like, well, no, not kind of, just like this. And cut it into basically 3 to 4 portions. So I pull down using the heel of my knife, pull it up, and I get a nice thin cut just like this. And the reason I like to do this is it doesn't take long for the chicken to cook. And it also gives me nice plate coverage. I can also pound this out a little bit too with my knife if I wanted to. I have a nice cut. I'll show you that one more time. Pull your heel down, and you're pushing up with your hand so you get a nice thin cut just like this. There we are. Okay. So we have some nice thin cuts here. There we are. Just like this. Now we're going to take this very simply. Let me bring the plate over here. I want to put it on the plate here. And we're going to season it up with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then drizzle a little olive oil over it. Season it on both sides. There we are. A little bit of salt as well. You notice when I season with the salt that I'm holding my hand like this and going like this in the air. That way I get equal distribution. And you can do that in a commercial kitchen. You can also do that at home, and you're going to get very accurate with your placement of your seasonings. Chicken's ready to go there. Let me just clean up this cutting board a little bit. Now, because I have to work with the kibasi here, and I do this at home all the time. First of all, when you set up your cutting board, and this is a little trick, I always will put a damp towel underneath it, and I'll turn it over. This way I can work with the kibasi, and I'm not going to be cross-contaminating anything. My indoor grill is nice and hot here, so my chicken doesn't stick. I'm going to take and just put a little bit of olive oil on top of it. You can use any type of oil that you want. Doesn't really matter. As long as it just prevents it from sticking. You don't want excess fat there, because if you have the excess fat there, it's not healthy for you, and you're also wasting food, and we don't want to waste any food. And this is something that you can do, especially if you get home late, or you want a late snack or something like that, or you're watching the game. This is a great dish to make. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these on the grill. When I put these on the grill, these are only going to take a couple of minutes to cook. Start right here at the top. There we are. Let these start to grill off for us. And I won't move these until they're ready to be turned. When you're grilling, you're only going to hold once. And as a matter of fact, I know that these are going to be done just by how they feel. These run on the grill. Oh, this is a nice item. We're going to put that on the grill. And let's get our kibasi ready now. Now with our kibasi today, I already have one done. It's right here. All you need is a French roll, just like this. And what you're going to do with your French roll is sometimes you need to take the end off it, especially if it's a solid end. So just carefully remove the end of it. You can use your steel, and you can poke a hole right into the bread. And go nice and slow, but you really want to actually hollow out the bread. If the hole that you've made is not big enough, then what you can do is you can use a bigger dowel, a wooden dowel, rolling pin, and just put it into the roll just like this, because you really want to hollow this out. And this is something you can do when kibasi's on sale. You can buy the kibasi, you can freeze this. It freezes very well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, with our spatula, take a little bit of mustard. I have enough time to do this before I have to turn it. We're going to take a little bit of mustard, slide it right on the inside, and put mustard on the inside of the bread. Just like that. You know, start at the end and pull it down. So you put all the mustard in there. Then you're going to take your kibasi, and you just take the kibasi and insert it into the bread. The breads are very short, or the kibasi is very long today. I'm not sure which is true, but then we put that into the kibasi. I'm going to put this on the side just for a second here, because it looks like my chicken is just about ready to turn. I know my chicken is ready to turn because when I look at it, I see these sides or the edges are coagulating and cooking. So I'll turn it over and let the other side cook. Oh, this does look great. It smells wonderful. There we go. Turn this over a little bit. Let this chicken cook up. And this doesn't take a long time to cook. And also for you people that are very concerned, I mean, my mother-in-law is one person who's very concerned. My wife gets concerned. My children, thank God, trust me. But they get concerned when you're cooking chicken. Is it done? Is it done? If you made it any more done, we could play frisbee with it sometimes. So we don't want to be playing frisbee with our chicken. We just want to have a nice, perfectly cooked chicken. And we cook it to the term what is called à point, which means just done. That means that it's not overdone, it's not underdone. As long as you bring the chicken up to 165 degrees internal temperature, you're going to kill off any of the salmonella bacteria that is present. Even though you do, and I'm not playing this lightly, but you do have to be very careful with it. So how do I know my chicken is done? I could write a letter to the God of chickens and ask the God of chickens if my chicken is done, or I can use common sense, I can use cooking time, and I can feel the chicken. So if I feel this piece right here, I know this piece is thoroughly cooked. We're going to take that, we're going to put this on the plate. This piece a little thicker, it's not quite done, I'll leave that on. This is done. A little bit more fire on that one. Done. And done. Let's shut this off. Let me show you how nice this presentation is on this now. We have our chicken on the plate. Put our plate right over here. Let's take a little bit of this wonderful salsa or chutney that we've made. We're going to put some right with our chicken right here, right in the middle there, so that it comes off nicely. A little bit of chutney, that way they can taste it with it. And then we can garnish this with a couple of chives. Take the chives and we can lay the chives across the plate or over it like that, just for some nice height. Lovely grilled chicken with a blueberry pecan chutney. Stay with me. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to make the Bavarian relish and cook off this wonderful kibasi we have. So stay with me. Bavarian relish. Okay, for Bavarian relish, a little bit of red pepper, a little bit of red onion, caraway seeds, and sauerkraut. So let's get started. First thing we have to do, oh, no, I'm not going to make the relish just yet. I want to take the kibasi and I want to get this cooking. So when I go to cut the kibasi, it's sometimes better to use a serrated knife when you're doing this. You're going to cut off the end here, just like this, and you cut it about 1/2 inch thick. You see how nice this looks? Doesn't this look great? But we have to cook this. Now, kibasi is made with pork, but you can also buy beef kibasi as well. So we just take, and a serrated knife doesn't mush. It doesn't really mush the bread, so we want to do that. So I'm going to take this, have my pan nice and hot here. Just a little bit of oil in the pan here. Not too much oil, just so that it doesn't stick. Get this nice and hot here. And I'm going to get this cooking while we're making the relish. When I cook this, all I really want to do is heat it through and brown it nicely on both sides. There we are. Put this right in the pan here. Holds together very nicely. There we go. Let that start to cook up, and now let's make our relish. The relish is a real easy dish to make. We're going to take and mince everything together. It's similar to the salsa, but it's not the same. I just want to cut this down because I really want this into very small dice. Okay, there we are. So we're just going to cut this down, make a real nice small dice of our red onion. Small dice here of our red pepper. If you can hear my knife doing that, that means that my knife needs a little bit of an edge. So I think before I do the next show, I'm going to have to put an edge or get an edge on these knives. You know, you only cut yourself with a dull knife. So I have my red pepper there. My caraway seeds. Okay, I'm ready to put this in a dish. Red pepper, red onion, a little bit of caraway seed. little bit of sauerkraut, not too much. And again, this is better. This is actually better if it marinates a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in this. You can use brown. I use brown sugar because I like brown sugar, but you can use white sugar. Okay. And I'm using a cider vinegar, but you could actually use a rice wine vinegar and apple vinegar as well. Take a little bit of cider vinegar in here. And this makes the sauerkraut very sweet. It's absolutely delicious. We mix this together a little bit. There we go. And we let this marinate, and the caraways release their oils, bring out a lot of flavor. Now, I'm looking at this Bavarian relish, and I like the way it looks. The nice bright red colors coming through, but I would like a little bit of green in there. So I think I'm just going to put a little bit of chive in there as well. And you could, if I have parsley, I could also put in parsley. So we'll just cut the chives down here. Just a little bit of green in there, not too much. I'm always adjusting my recipes. As a matter of fact, today when we came into the station and I said we're doing the show, so far I haven't done anything that I really thought I was going to do. I always end up changing it around. And that's a creative nature of culinary arts, and that's why I love it. Mix this together. Turn over my kielbasa. Whoops. Got a little bit too much color on these, unfortunately. But I like it when it's real. I like a real well done thing like this. Get a little bit of color on this. There we go. And I can show you the presentation for this now too. This out of the way. There we are. Bring this over here. Now what I'd like to do with this is I'm going to take and I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I was going to put that on the plate, but what I think I'm going to do is put this down on the plate, just like this. And sometimes people are afraid to use what you've made them. This is a nice portion here. So we're going to stack this up. And then right off of this, kind of following the design of the plate, we'll take our Bavarian relish and kind of have it half coming off and half onto the kielbasa. The show is Let's Cook. My name is Paul Dillon. Today, we made a wonderful kielbasa stuffed in a baguette with a Bavarian relish. We did a wonderful grilled chicken with a blueberry pecan chutney. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.